Hey folks, David Stewart here. The Rise of Skywalker will be a success. There's 4 areas of discussion I want to get into with this one, including why those quotes are there. So let's start with that one. First thing, right out of the gate, all outcomes, any outcome for The Rise of Skywalker will be framed as a success. We've talked about the importance of framing in past videos. Framing is how you qualify data in order to contextualize it in a way that will make sense. PR firms, of course, engage in heavy amounts of framing in order to attempt to change the way we perceive of information, and this will be no exception. If The Rise of Skywalker doesn't make a lot of money, they simply will not mention it, or they will talk about some other part that is successful. So you may hear something like, it's the best opening for a Star Wars movie in the 3rd week of December, or something like that, right? Like if you add enough qualifiers, eventually you can frame it in such a way that it seems like a success. So it could have a great opening weekend, second best opening weekend. They'll still say it's second best, or highest opening weekend of 2019. They're going to frame it in a way that looks great. They'll talk about the domestic gross and maybe ignore the international gross for the film. Just talking about how much a movie grosses is a method of framing, because you're leaving out the costs associated with it. The cost to produce the movie, the cost to market the movie, those aren't brought into the equation at all, as well as how much the studio is actually going to keep out of their investment. There'll be, how many receipts 4 weeks into the movie. They'll frame it that way. How many theaters it opens in. How many theaters across the United States are showing The Last Jedi on the first weekend. All of that stuff will be framed as success. The critical reception will also, I can almost guarantee you it will be critically acclaimed, regardless of how bad it was. And this is because the previous 2 movies were critically acclaimed, and they were quite bad as well. So it's probably going to be critically acclaimed, but even if it's not, if the audience score is high, like if they can go to Rotten Tomatoes and be like, audiences agree, it's a great movie. So if the audience score is high, they'll just frame that. It's fans love it, critically acclaimed. And I think the main thing is that they will frame it as a movie that is successful because it will make its money back. And that brings me to the second big discussion area. Not this one with framing, but what I actually would qualify as success for this movie. Do I think this movie will meet my qualifications for success? And the answer is yes. I think The Last Jedi will be a very successful movie according to my qualifications, and I'm going to explain those. So the main thing is I think it will easily make back its money. I don't see any way that The Last Jedi will bomb. I don't see any way that The Last Jedi will not recoup at least its production costs. I assume it will recoup its production costs as well as its marketing costs, and this will be true basically within the theater run, and it'll be even more money when they release the Blu-ray and DVD. And of course they'll come out with a trilogy box set, and then they'll come out with a 9 movie set. You can expect that. So I think that it's going to be a financial success. At least it will meet my qualifications for financial success. I think it's possible. I'd probably say it's a 50-50 chance of it opening bigger than The Last Jedi. And what I think will happen is that the opening day will be big, but I think it may actually gain momentum going into Monday, because what will happen is people will go see it, they will give their positive reactions to the movie, and then people who were kind of waiting for there to be some kind of signal that the movie is going to be good, they will then go see the movie as the weekend goes on. And I also anticipate a higher second week than The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi had a big drop-off the second week. I don't think there'll be a big drop-off for this one for that same reason. I see lots of people going and giving it a positive review, either friends or, people will be waiting for the reviews to come out in the newspaper or on YouTube, and then they'll go see it. And I don't think, even if I give it a bad review, that it will have necessarily a big effect. So I think it's going to be more successful than The Last Jedi in both of those. And I actually think it will be a movie that the fans will end up liking. That's my prediction. I think most fans, even the ones who didn't like Last Jedi, are going to end up liking this. And I'm only qualifying that based on their reaction to other Star Wars franchises. So this is my third area that I want to talk about with this, which is why do I think these things? So the first one is really that normies are not part of the fandom menace or really any subsection of the fandom that was massively disappointed with The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. And there are actually two groups there. There's people who liked Force Awakens and didn't like Last Jedi, which is what I really think the fandom menace is at this point. And then there's people like me who used to be Star Wars fans and really stopped being fans after The Force Awakens because of its low quality, and have just kind of continued to talk to the group that didn't like The Last Jedi as well, because there's a lot of commonality there. But I don't think that they're a significant portion of the movie-going group that will go see it. I think there are Star Wars fans that will be Star Wars fans no matter what, and will clearly go watch any movie that comes out with Star Wars on it no matter what. I'm not saying that that's going to be all fans or anything like that, or even the hardcore fans are going to be like that, but there's going to be a section of them, and of course they are going to, be visible and have an impact on how we perceive the opening of the movie. But I also think just normies in general liked The Last Jedi. In fact, if I look at all my real life friends, every person I've met in real life that has ever mentioned anything about Star Wars, which is pretty low, like normal people don't talk a lot about Star Wars in regular conversations. I haven't met a single person in real life who didn't like The Last Jedi, other than people that I met like after making reviews on The Last Jedi. So I've met people that saw my video, and then I meet them, and then of course now I know them in real life because I've met them. But as far as my previous existing contacts, everybody liked The Last Jedi. Most people thought The Last Jedi was like a really daring, edgy movie. They really enjoyed the space fights. They thought it blew them away. Most people were blown away by The Last Jedi. Let's be realistic. I was blown away in the worst possible way, which is just like insulted and I don't know. I was insulted is the main thing. So normies, all this negative fan reaction isn't really going to affect them. And in fact, it's just going to remind them again and again that there's a new Star Wars movie coming out. The second point within this larger discussion of why, I think the fandom menace has already forgiven Disney, or is very ready to forgive Disney. And I think that The Mandalorian is a big part of that. So when I see a huge number of people who were very down on The Last Jedi loving The Mandalorian, and if that's you, that's fine. There are things that I think are good about The Mandalorian, and there's things that I don't like about The Mandalorian. I wouldn't have watched it if people were not wanting me to have some story analysis on it, kind of break down what's going on. I wouldn't have bothered watching it because I'm not really interested in TV, and I'm not that interested in Star Wars anymore because of what Disney has done with it. But I think most people that were really didn't like The Last Jedi, they happily watched The Mandalorian. They didn't stay away from it. They had Disney Plus, which means to me, judging by their actions, they already forgave Disney. So Disney's mostly forgiven, and the enjoyment that people are getting out of The Mandalorian, it's very well timed. Disney knows what they're doing. It's timed so that people will have a lot of positive feelings towards the franchise, feel very hyped up going into the opening for The Rise of Skywalker in a couple of weeks. So I think the fandom menace is mostly going to forgive them. And I think the first people that go see it and give it a positive review, they're like, yes, it's like Force Awakens. It made me feel so good. I think you're just going to have a huge number of people who were on the boycott bandwagon jumping off of that to go see the conclusion to this, because of I think a significant portion of dissatisfied fans will be happy with it because they're happy with Force Awakens, same director, So if they're happy with Force Awakens, you're probably going to like this one based on everything that I've seen so far. So there you go. So that's what I think. So I think the Phantom Menace already forgave Disney, and they're really ready to forgive Disney. And this is the thing, is that fans just want to have fun. I've mentioned this. People are Star Wars fans. They want Star Wars to be good. They don't want to walk away from Star Wars forever because a couple of movies were bad. They really want the franchise to turn itself around. There's a lot of faith in Star Wars. Star Wars as a brand has a ton of legs still. Star Wars is not dead. It is not anywhere close to dead as far as I'm concerned based on what I've seen. And I think the fans don't want it to die. They want it to be good. They want Disney to do a good job with it. So they're ready for this movie to be good. And if they get the signals that it is good, they're going to go see it. And they're going to like it. So The Mandalorian has turned people around. That's a big reason why I think Rise of Skywalker is going to be successful and people are going to like it. I think the hype going into the movie has been really well timed. I think the qualities of the show really are they're good for fans. I think fans really like what the show is showing them. It's got lots of callbacks to the original trilogy. It's got lots of little things for fans of the franchise. And I think that that's probably what you want in a TV show. As much as I want maybe new original things, or I'm not, I don't like the way they execute this or that reference, like the little droid that pops out and, that's guarding the little stormtrooper base. As much as I may not like details like that, that's what fans want. They want references to what they like. They want recognition that they're within the Star Wars mythos. All those things are good for fans, and so fans like it and they enjoy those kinds of productions. And it's there, and of course, Baby Yoda. So, Baby Yoda could not have been a better idea, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Baby Yoda, I have lore problems with him, but he's definitely very cute. It's a very cute puppet. People really love Baby Yoda. They have Baby Yoda playing with the kids, and the kids are sad that Baby Yoda's leaving. It is a phenomenal success. It was such a good idea to put Baby Yoda in this franchise leading up to it. It's good. It's just driving tons of attention towards the franchise, and the more attention there is towards the franchise, the more people are going to go see this last movie. Yeah, so the fans, they want that. The fans just want to have fun. They want to have those things that make them feel happy about Star Wars. And JJ can probably sell that. He sold that with Force Awakens. I didn't like Force Awakens. I thought it was really bad. But I called it a $200 million fan film. I actually called it a $100 million fan film, so I was halving the budget. But anyway, I called it a fan film, and it feels like a fan made it. Somebody really wanted to make a film full of things for fans, so I think a lot of people will like it. And that's it. I think as the reviews come in, I think you're going to see a lot of people jumping off a boycott bandwagon and going to see the movie that they want to feel good about. Fourth, final area of discussion. This is apart from the financial part of it. Do I think it will suck? Do I think it will be bad? Do I think it will be successful artistically, I guess? And the answer is no, it will not be successful artistically. Here's why I predict it will suck. Number one, there's no story continuity. So from episode 7, between episode 6 and episode 7, there's no story continuity. Episode 7's very divorced from the original trilogy as far as story elements and large set pieces are concerned. Republic, New Order, all this stuff is very disconnected from the conclusion of Return of the Jedi. Then there's no connection between episode 7 and episode 8, other than episode 8 really just kind of begins right where episode 7 left off, I guess. But there's no continuity as far as how things are working. We blow up the Starkiller base, and yet the New Order is completely all-powerful and able to obliterate what's left of the Resistance. So there's no continuity there. There's virtually no character continuity, really, from episode 7 to episode 8. So having continuity, any continuity will be from 7 to 9, not really from 8 to 9. And I don't see JJ being able to pull that off. In the past, he hasn't really done a good job with that. He had this kind of mystery box format, which got a lot of people interested. Then Rian Johnson kind of filled in some of those boxes with, instead of putting a cool surprise in the boxes, he put dog poop, and people didn't like that. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of continuity from each of these movies. I think it'll just be something that kind of calls back to the OT, makes people feel the feelings they need to feel, the nostalgia, and then that's going to be the end of it. So I don't think that's going to be good. That's not a good setup for the third movie in a trilogy. I don't think there's any way to save the disaster of The Last Jedi. I don't see there's much of a story recovery after that. You'd have to spend a whole movie trying to build up something of a resistance or a rebellion. Otherwise, how are you going to do it? I don't know. So the mystery boxes have all been ruined. And then it's clear that there was no plan for the trilogy from the get-go, which means that they didn't have the ending in mind. What I've been hearing is that they've been focus grouping 6 different endings. That's the rumor. Doesn't sound completely, out of bounds for that to happen, but that does indicate to me if you were focus grouping an ending, that means number one, you did not begin this trilogy with the end in mind. You did not begin the trilogy knowing where you were going to conclude it. And number two, there's no artistic integrity to it. If you're focus grouping an ending, you're trying to see if people like the ending or not, then you haven't really written an ending, have you? You haven't written anything. You're trying to figure out what people want you to write rather than having an actual artistic expression, having something that is meaningful to the story that you're trying to create. That's the big warning flag to me. If you're focus grouping an ending, that probably means you don't know what you're doing. There's no vision behind it. I can definitely say that there was vision behind all the first 6 Star Wars movies, even if people didn't like George's vision or the vision of the producers of the films. There was a vision. They had a conclusion they wanted to go with, and they went with it. And I think most cases, I'd say the conclusion for both trilogies concluded very well under George Lucas. I don't see it concluding very well under J.J. Abrams. It's not going to happen. Now, I will try to go into it with a completely open mind. I can promise you that I will do my very best to lay my biases aside and be in a mindset where that movie could entertain me or not, and I will try to frame it several different ways so that people can understand whether they're going to like it or not when I review it. But my expectation is that it will not be good. So that's that. Thanks for watching this video. Leave me your thoughts down below. Will the Rise of Skywalker be a success, and how will it be framed as success? How do you think it'll probably be framed as success? Let's maybe come up with some predictions. My prediction is that there's a million different ways to frame it. I imagine that they will at least make their money back, and they'll be able to say that this is maybe the highest grossing opening weekend of 2019 or something like that. But maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be the second highest since Endgame or something. It'll be framed in a way that makes it seem like everybody's buying it. So thanks so much, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Newest book is called Eyes in the Walls. That is coming out Friday the 13th, next Friday. Friday the 13th. It's a straight horror flick. So hopefully you will, not flick, but a book. So hopefully you'll check that out. It's 99 cents right now on Amazon for the pre-order, and the paperback will be coming out probably in the middle of next week if you want to buy another little paperback. Paperback's going to be kind of mini-sized like my other ones. So probably about yay big, maybe a little thicker than this. It's a little bit longer book, so it's probably as long as, say, you need a lash, so it's good. And don't forget to buy the Fantasy Christmas Spectacular, this massive tome, which is on sale right now, $20.19 for all of my books. You can buy them all. They're all in this gigantic textbook-like arrangement here, so check that out. $9.99 for the ebook. You can get all my books. That will be going away in January, so get it in December or don't get it. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time.